So we've got all our gears and all of our keys removed. It's really important to remove the keys. If you happen to forget one and you try to press it, our press here will generate about 8,000 pounds of push, and that's more than enough to damage something, even catastrophically. Could injure yourself, destroy the housing, all the above. Getting the head situated so that you can push the spindles. You don't want to rest the head on the spindles, and you need support that comes out at least as far as you're pushing. So sometimes a combination of these, or a long metal plate, or the spinner piece, or other housings get you to where you need to be, and you might need several different setups to get to several different spindles depending on where they're located, how big the head is. I think I'm located pretty well for this. I've got paper towel and a catcher bin under here. I'm going to try to catch it by hand, but in case I drop it, we want to protect the spindle from dropping all the way to the floor and damaging the threads if we can avoid it. So that first one came out pretty easy, and remember, we're trying to keep track of what we're doing here. And in this case, the first spindle out was spindle number 2. On the spindles, I'm not doing a thorough check yet, but I'm just looking to see if there's any obvious signs of wear, and typically you'll see a wear line between a gear and a bearing, or a bearing and a bearing, or a bearing in here. I don't see anything obvious on this one, so I'm not going to make any notes yet. But if it came down to it, I might throw my caliper on here and check the diameter here, the diameter there, the diameter there, the diameter there, to make sure that it's the same size. I might also take a good gear and slide it down and check for differences in play, things like that. It's in its sleeve. Now, another thing I'm going to check for, and this is going to become a big factor in the well-being of this head, is I'm going to look to see how the bearings fit in the front housing. And right away, I see bad news. This was the wave washers that supported this spindle. They've gone away. They've failed, which on a head this age is not surprising. They do have a limited lifespan. The gear, or the bearing that fits in this race, is not too bad as of right now, but I'm gonna try to clean some of the extra grease off it. And if I look at it, I see some signs of wear on the outside there a little bit. And if I clean out the grease here, at least a little bit, what I want to make sure is that the outer race doesn't just spin casually in the housing. We really need the inner race to spin with the spindle and the outer race to stay put. As of right now, I don't see this. It comes in and out pretty easily, but I don't see it at the point of spinning. So the head doesn't fail at this point yet in terms of the housing, but that's something I'm going to keep an eye on, because if you remember earlier, we had a spindle that moved a lot up and down, and it's probably exactly this kind of failure that lies behind it. And that's an indicator of the bearing traveling up and down in the journal, both on the bottom housing and the top housing. So we're going to keep going here. I'm going to get my pusher here so I'm not pushing on more than one spindle at a time. So I'm going to double check myself, and that was spindle number 6. And we'll keep working our way around the head here. And I'm going to go ahead and get that bearing out as well. And kind of the same sort of feel as the last one had. It's loose, but not terribly sloppy just yet. And so we're going to carry on by taking this head apart, but once again, I'm seeing that the wave washers are shattered. So spindle 2 and spindle 6, shattered wave washers. I'm going to put this away. I'm going to take that note, and I'll show you guys these spindles which might even, oh, there you go. These pull out vertically. They don't push out down in the other direction. There's still a wave washer under it. This one has not failed. But these pull out vertically. The output spindles push out down that way. And the same is true on the newer style heads, that the transfer spindles come back out this way. And if for some reason you have to push it out, it becomes a whole other thing, but we'll get into that in another video. So for now, we're going to keep taking this apart, and we'll catch you guys at the next step.